Welcome back, everybody, to the 5th episode in the Beginner to Winner series. Today, we're going to be talking about supply zones and demand zones and how we use them in our trading. If you haven't done so already, please make sure you are subscribed to the YouTube channel. Make sure you pop that notification bell so you can be notified when the next video comes out. And also make sure you like and comment the video because it massively helps you grow the channel. I really appreciate it. This Beginner to Winner series has really kind of taken off. My Discord membership it's got really busy, which is great. It's lovely to see you guys supporting me, and I'm hoping you guys are learning something. I try and kind of explain the way I trade in a really simple to understand way, because there's a lot of confusing information out there. So you may think sometimes I've gone through a lot of information, or the initial videos about market structure ended up being 4 videos in total. I know that seems like quite a lot, but market structure is the basis of all of your trading. If you don't get your market structure right, you're going to lose money. It's as simple as that. So these next videos should be a little bit shorter. The sections anyway, supply and demand, probably won't need to go into as much detail. However, these are really important concepts. These are the foundations of your trading. Now, I've been where you are. I've been that struggling trader who's, hopped from strategy to strategy, never quite understanding where I was going wrong, until I found this kind of pure price action based trading. You'll notice on my charts there are no indicators. I only use a few kind of crude tools, but ultimately the way that I trade is really simple and easy to understand. I've simplified it as much as possible to help me understand it. I now trade much easier because I trade much more simply. I stick to higher time frames. They respond a lot better. I don't spend hours on the charts anymore. I'm very selective with where I trade from. I've built good patience over the years that I've been trading, because I've been trading about 5 years now, and I've never seen such a huge improvement in the results of my trading since I got the foundations right. And structure is the first. So if you haven't gone through the structure videos, there are 4 of them in total. Make sure you do that before you go through this video, because a lot of this won't make sense if you don't understand structure well. Today, we're going to talk through supply and demand zones, why they're so important to your trading, what they are, and how we use them, and how it can really simplify your trading. By the end of this video, I promise you this, you will be a better trader. You'll be coming out of this understanding what's going on in the marketplace a lot better, and immediately you will be able to trade better from just listening to what I've got to say in this video. So what is the reason and why are we looking for supply and demand zones? So, and supply or demand zone is an area of the market that we've seen prices had an extreme reaction. But once we've qualified them, once they've met our criteria, we'll usually watch as they often act as a magnet to price. The reason for this is that the larger players, they have an invested interest in these areas, as they're usually losing money in these areas until price returns to them. So if the area is below price, we call it a demand zone. So this here is a demand zone. If the area is above price, it's called a supply zone. Now it's similar to support and resistance, okay? And it's ultimately the reason why support and resistance works. Someone once showed me a little while ago that if you place a random line on a chart anywhere, you'll find that if you zoom back enough, it will have a reaction. And you can literally place these lines anywhere on a chart completely at random, and you'll find that they cause a reaction, or they seemingly cause a reaction. This is personally why I don't think supply and demand zones work. We place that one completely randomly, it's come perfectly there, it's rejected. But then what happens with supply and demand zones? They're traded through all the time. So to me, it doesn't really make sense. Why, if these supply and demand zones were so useful in our trading, would they constantly be traded through? It just doesn't seem to make sense. When I finally understood supply and demand, it gave me a really clear understanding of what's actually going on in the marketplace and the reason why these things are happening. So there's 3 things that we need to qualify a supply or demand zone. First, we need a push up before push down for supply. Okay, we usually want these areas, okay, so that whole area is the supply zone. We usually want these areas to clear out liquidity to the left, okay, what we call raiding of the highs. So we want these areas to push up and clear out liquidity to the left. Okay, that's the first thing. We want these areas to leave imbalances behind, which we'll come back to, okay, which are imbalances in the marketplace are where price has had an extreme reaction and has so far been untested by the market once again. So here we've had this big long candle push down, as you can see, and then so far it's been untested. This is called an imbalance zone. You can see how price is attracted to it. And the final thing we look for in a supply area is a break of structure. We want it to break a structure, ideally a major break of structure, as in a swing low. So when price breaks structure here and here, these are structural breaks, but they are ultimately minor breaks of structure. A major break of structure is a swing low point, and that is a clear indication, as we've learned in previous videos, that the trend is likely to continue down further. So that's what qualifies us for a supply zone. Price has a reaction up where it creates, where it clears out liquidity. And what we mean by that is people will be selling from here. So people will be selling the marketplace here, and they'll be selling the marketplace here and here. And what happens is, as price moves up through these areas, it takes people out because they have stop losses set. As you know, if you were selling from there, you'd set a stop loss above that high. And if price goes up, then it takes your stop loss out, and ultimately you're out of the marketplace. Okay, got to remember, imagine the market like a set of scales. It is a zero sums game, and people can only make money in the marketplace when there's more sellers. For example, in this example, when there's more sellers than buyers. And if it's the other way around, they only make money on the way up if there's more buyers than sellers. So the less sellers that are out of the marketplace, okay, if they take people out here, it frees up liquidity so that they can push the market back down. Okay, so the bigger players in the marketplace, they are moving price up and down all the time. And by taking you out of the marketplace and taking out your stops, it then frees up liquidity so that they can push the market down in a big way, where less people are making money so that they can make money. That's ultimately how it works. Okay, so that's how we qualify a supply zone. Demand zone is exactly the same, it's just the other way around. Okay, so we'll draw this out. We've raided the lows here. Okay, we have broken major structure here, and we've left behind imbalances, which are these candles that have not yet been retested. Okay, so again, going back to what we were talking about earlier, the marketplace is a zero sums game. Well, when price has such an extreme reaction like it has done here, and it's moved all the way up, and that is just loads and loads of buy orders that have caused that reaction. Those buy orders, they have to be balanced out. Okay, they are imbalanced though, they have to be balanced out. So this literally acts like a magnet on the marketplace, and price has to come back to it at some point. And once we've got these three criteria, so a raid of the lows, a break of major structure, and imbalance, that for us is a valid supply or demand zone. These three factors tell us that this is an area where the bigger players are invested in, okay, because the amount of money it's caused to push the price up like this has been huge. Now I'm going to try and illustrate this for you, okay? So this is the demand zone, okay? Now, we only know it's a demand zone once this move happens. Okay, once this move happens, we can mark it out. Raid of the lows, okay, break of major structure, okay. Now, we know that this is a move that we can trust. Okay, so we're going to be paying attention here. What we expect then is for price to move all the way back down and come to retest it before the bigger move up. The intention of the marketplace is that the price moves higher, but they can't do that when there's loads of people in the market. So they manipulate the marketplace in order to do this. Thank you guys for tuning in for the first part in the supply and demand section of the Beginner to Winner course. I'm going to keep these sections as short and sweet as possible. Supply and demand is, when you're first going into it, quite difficult to get your head around. I don't want it to become really complicated and long-winded video, so I'm going to cut these into kind of smaller bite-sized chunks. This is episode 1 in the supply and demand section, which is episode 5 of our Beginner to Winner series. The next part will be coming very, very soon. I've got it all recorded. I'm just cutting it, editing it, and making sure it is as good and as high quality as possible. I want to pump out best quality content for you always. Now, if you haven't done so already, do me a huge favor. Please make sure you like. Please make sure you leave me a comment, and please make sure you pop that notification bell so you can be notified when the next part comes out. Again, thank you for tuning in, and I'll catch you guys soon.